Hi and welcome to Regent Park Community News. I'm your host Gisela Torres for this month of July 2018. Let's go firstly to the spike of the violence here in our community. We talk with Ismael and Sirija, two members of the Regent Park community.
In terms of violence in the community, this is not something quite new. Things have been happening for the past few years. They've been escalating one at a time. For instance, some people say that 2015 was the start of the increase of violence. 2016 even got worse. In 2017, even worse. In 2018, there's been even more deaths happening across the city, especially in neighborhood improvement areas like Regent Park and Jane and Finch. So it's not about localizing problems into communities. It's about looking at the systematic reasons why violence happens. So for instance, one reason why violence happens is there's a concentration of poverty. So that a key neighborhood, for instance, is suffering from at multiple ends. So that, for instance, there are kids from all the way when they're young to all the way when they're in middle school to high school. They're failing at every level. So there is not enough communal support. There is no institutional structures that help them resolve some of these problems. And because of that, 10 years or 8 years afterwards, you would get violent outbreaks.
In this neighborhood, the parents have 3, 4, 5 kids. It's hard when you don't have support systems, when you don't have a family, extension family in here. Most of them, that's the newcomers, they don't have extended families.
So one of the biggest assets in Regent Park is that a lot of agencies are surrounding it and are working with. But one of the main challenges is how do you make sure that youth have access and are happy and engaged in these spaces?
Everybody play a role in the children's life. School, they spend a lot of hours in the schools. The school official, the principal play a big role. The teacher play a big role, especially in this kind of neighborhood where the need is completely different than other neighborhoods.
I think this type of engagement has not been working. I think there's a realization that's coming that the parents need to have conversations with the different agencies, with the school system, with the principals. So for instance, right now, there's a strong move, at least in Regent Park, for instance, for parent councils. So in the TDSB, for instance, there's a group of mothers who want to engage more. So they've actually made sure that they're part of the parent council, are having conversations with the principals, so that this type of movement where members of the community don't just leave the work to agencies needs to happen more. And I would encourage more parents, especially, to form groups, working groups in terms of different areas of interest. And I encourage mothers and parents who are listening to take more active role in terms of what's happening around their neighborhoods. And this is an excellent time to do that because there's a lot of resources that can accommodate that.
We need to look at the wholesome approach from the community, from the government, and any stakeholders that in the community. The police officers, they do play a roles. We do have 4 community police officers who's been assigned in Regent Park. They're amazing.
So we need to do it one step at a time, one program at a time. That's why the best effort is like neighborhood focus, right? We cannot try and resolve all across the city, but what we can do is in Regent Park, what small steps we can take to resolve some of these issues.
Well, let's hope that the violence here in Regent Park settles down. And now we're going to talk about the fire at Danny's Spectrum, which occurred on May 30 morning. Well, as far as we know, all the summer camps were canceled for that reason, but now we're just going to see what happened.
So in the early morning hours of May 30th, there was a fire here at Daniel's Spectrum. And it set off several of the sprinklers, which is a good thing. That's what sprinklers are supposed to do. Nobody was hurt or injured in the fire, and we do know that the fire is being investigated as arson. As is often the case when you have a fire, it's often not the fire that causes damage, but the water. And we did have the 3 sprinklers go off for about 45 minutes. So it caused, some of the building areas didn't get any impact, such as the 3rd floor where our friends and partners in the Center for Social Innovation are located. The studio space is here on the ground floor where Centennial runs its performing arts hub, also was not impacted. But elsewhere in the building, we did have water damage that required us to remediate in the first and second floors, as well as in the two performance studios, the Ada Slate Hall and the Aki Studio, that is the home for performances by Native Earth Performing Arts. Some programs were canceled, but I will say that the community actually rallied together and worked together to identify alternative spaces. So the number of programs actually canceled outright, we were able to limit that. And those would have included Pathways Final programs, Regent Park School of Music, and Art Heart. And really the whole community has stepped up, as well as Center for Social Innovation, Centennial, Community Center here, and we've also been able to provide spaces through other Artscape buildings to try and support as much as possible some of the programming and events that were slated to happen. So.
This has really affected us in a great deal because, of course, we had to move the summer camp downstairs. We don't have access to all of our facilities in our printing press or computer lab and the such. And unfortunately, we've had to suspend our adult and seniors programming for those reasons as well. Although I think thanks to the generosity of Centennial, that we will be able to move our adult program downstairs in a limited capacity next week. It's really affected the community because the Daniel Spectrum is very much a community hub. So people are really at a loss of where to go. There's been different activities that happen in the lobby and stuff that have been affected. The Show Love Cafe has been affected. A lot of residents who come in with coffee and just hang out downstairs. So we've lost a real community hub temporarily.
We've been transparent that it's being investigated as arson, but the actual investigation is for the fire department. And what we always say is we may never know, and we can't speculate. It's really important people don't speculate. We're just moving forward.
Well, let's go to the Taste of Regent Park, which occur in the big part of the community every Wednesday from 6 to 9 p.m. So let's see what this event involves.
Hi, my name is Ashrafi Ahmed, and I'm the garden coordinator at CRC Regent Park Community Food Center. And I love this event because this is our annual event for every summer. We start last 2 weeks and until August 29th.
And what is your favorite part of the market?
I really love to see lots of familiar faces coming again and again because I am doing an information and welcoming thing, and I saw lots of tenant or resident, they keep coming and they appreciate our support, so that is a good thing, yeah.
Okay, I've been working in this community for a long time, so an event like this, it brings the people closer together. It also shows the different cultures that is embedded in Regent Park. Because I'm a vendor here, the favorite part is selling my product. I'm joking. So my product is jerk chicken, Jamaican jerk chicken, and Jamaican natural juices. But I think the part I enjoy most is the music that they play, and they just stick to togetherness.
My name's Eugenio, and we're 40 Oaks. Our group is 40 Oaks, and we're playing this event tonight. My favorite part is seeing all the people out that, Toronto's been through a lot of struggles of late, as everybody knows, and to see all these people still come out here and support this event is really telling of our city. They're not going to be held back by anything.
Can you play something for us?
Absolutely. Summertime and the living seas, fish are jumping and the cotton is high.
What's your favorite part about the event?
About the event? I think it's getting to see all my neighbors, and you know what? This is what Regent Park is about, right? We come together, we share a meal, we boost each other up, and I think it deserves to be celebrated. Now I'm holding some pendants that were made as a shout out to Regent Park. We're newer residents to Regent Park. We've only been here about 10 years, and we just love our community. In Toronto, too often, we sit on the streetcar and we don't talk to each other. We ride the elevator and look at the numbers and don't talk to each other. So here you get to know your neighbors. You get to know each other's names. You help each other get set up, and that's what building community is all about.
Well, that's all that we have for this month, July 2018. Thank you for being with us in RPTV News, and if you like a story that you would like us to cover, just send an email to Regent Park Focus Media.